And
Yeah.
I'm like, why is she so calm?
She confident.
Stop. He's scared. I mean, you got a
She
priest with
confident.
the, priest got God on his side. You're supposed to be, you're supposed to be quaking in your boots. And she was sitting there like, nah.
What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. The spooky season continues, and I thought, I'm going to have a lot of returning guests, and I'm going to have some new faces, some of which, they got their own YouTube channels, their own Instagrams, all that good stuff. But the whole point of me starting this channel and having these conversations is I wanted to bring in other movie lovers of all walks of life, all types. So today we have a good friend of mine, I have to say. He's a solid brother, and he is a hip hop producer, makes some sick beats. He's also an artist himself. And for the purpose of us today, he is one of the biggest horror movie lovers I know. It's like I live on this man's Plex server. I'm just going to keep it 100. We got my man coming in. His name is Todd Kelley. What is good, my man?
What's good, man? What's
I ain't going to lie, man.
good?
I live on that server. That's the
Yeah,
long and
I
short
got
of
too
it.
much on there.
I
I got too much. Too much.
But you know what? I see your activity, and it shows me that you are watching these movies. You're not just doing like what a lot of us physical media collectors do, and we just stack these Blu-rays and 4Ks just
Mm-hmm.
because they got a pretty cover to say, hey, forget about Hulu. I got Prey, stuff like that. You actually watching your stuff.
Oh man, I had growing up when I was younger, one of my biggest things I wanted to do was take every single piece of content, whether it's music, movies, TV shows, and actually have it in one centralized area so I can watch it anytime I want. So now it's just great. I can be like out and about and like sitting in the park and go, you know what? The Exorcist would be kind of cool. I want to see that scene, and I could
Yeah.
run up on my phone and I'll sit there and watch it. It's been great.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's got monsters or ghosts or explosions or action people, I'm watching it all the time.
If you don't know about Plex servers, basically you connect your computer and you share it out as a service so that
Yeah.
you can access movies on your computer from, from your phone or whatever the case may be
Mm-hmm.
while you're out, and you could share it with other people. So
Yeah.
it's great. I still remember the first time I was out, like you were saying, and I think it was Beats, Rhymes, and Life. And I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like watching that while I'm waiting. And it just popped up on my phone. I was
Yeah.
all happy, just watching it, relaxing, waiting my turn, whatever it was. Probably an appointment, a doctor's appointment, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a great service. And I'm very fortunate and very thankful for you sharing your server with me, because you got some hits on there. Like what was it? One cut of the dead, like
Yep.
the zombie movie.
If it's a zombie movie out there, dude, I got it. I think I got like 300 plus zombie movies on there.
Woo,
I'm still looking for more. It's
woo.
one of my favorite genres. So yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about the spooky, the creepy, the
Mhm.
horror, the things that get you moving.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so before we do, I always like to start with a non-movie question. And you being another hip hop head like me, I'm representing Doomale today.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
metal face on. Um, what's the best production wise? What's the best hip hop album or release that you've heard this year?
Oh, this year. Oh man. I really like No Name's album, the one she just dropped.
Huh.
Because my wife is a big No Name fan,
Okay.
and she was playing it in the car while we were driving around. I'm like, who is this? And then next song, who is this? And then who is this? And it was just solid through and through.
Track
And I was like,
after
okay,
track.
yeah, that's a contender for like album of the year because it just blew me away.
Wow. Wow. Hey,
How
if
about
you
you?
like hip hop,
Yeah.
you know, out there, for me, it would be not an album, but a single. And I
Uh
would say
huh.
it would be Slipping Into Darkness, that joint
Okay,
that
there we go.
Alchemist did with Hit Boy. It's
Oh,
basically because they're two solid hip hop producers, they
Mhm.
each made a beat, and Hit Boy rhymed over Alchemist beat, then
Oh,
Alchemist
okay.
rhymed over Hit Boy's beat.
So they did kind of a Mad Villain type
Yeah,
deal. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then basically on Hit Boy's verse, he did a little Kendrick control thing. So yeah, or I
All
should
right.
say,
I
yeah, it was like one of those. So
okay. I gotta check it out. I'm kind of mid on Hit Boy's production, what he's been doing with Nas.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
gotta check. I'll check that out.
All right. So when I do these conversations, basically what I normally do is I have these 5 questions that I ask at the end, which are called the 5 takes. So we're going
Hmm.
to do kind of like a version of that, but we're going to keep it spooky for the season.
All right.
So we're going to start off with number 1,
Hmm.
and that is name the horror movie that made you fall in love with the genre. You're a big fan. How did it get started?
Ooh, ooh, that's a good one. Um, that might be The Exorcist. That something could really frighten me so much,
Yeah.
and just the whole vibe of that movie with the priest and the little girl and how she slowly got taken over by this thing, and it just didn't seem like nobody that any of them were going to be able to help her, and the ending just kind of like broke me. I think that was the one, and it wasn't that it was over. It wasn't a lot of um, horror elements. It felt so rooted in realism that like escalated the fear of it. It's like, oh,
Mm.
this could have, if you're really into this thing, this is like something that could have happened down the street. It
Yeah.
wasn't like these super effects of ghosts and everything popping up that take you out of it. This was something that seemed so real
Hmm.
that just really blew me away and scared the mess out of me.
As far as atmosphere, like you're saying, it wasn't like a old mansion in a scary looking environment.
Yeah,
It was Georgetown, man. It was
yeah,
DC. They were affluent. They had money,
yeah,
and it didn't matter how much money they had. Couldn't help the girl.
yeah.
And the other thing for me, and recently, for our physical media fans out there, just came out on 4K. People have mixed feelings about the transfer, or whatever. But how old were you when you first saw it?
Ooh, I don't recall. I do know I was too young to watch it because I
I
wasn't supposed to watch it.
I think that's
And
this generation. I think
yeah,
we all say the same thing. We were too young to
yeah.
watch it.
I think my uncle lied to my mom and we went to go see it.
Single
And
digits or like 12 or so.
it was like single digits, I think.
Same.
And yeah, and he got reamed when he brought me home because for a month I was not the same.
Hmm.
So yeah, but it was worth it.
And it definitely hits different when you're an adult. Of course,
Yeah,
you could get past the makeup. And, I was checking it out a few weeks ago, and I was telling my wife, I'm like, it's not the same. You
yeah,
see more of the cinematic value of it,
yeah,
and the scenes with Reagan and all that. It's not as much as like when we're kids. That's the whole movie. The exorcism's like 2 hours long, and
yeah,
blah blah blah. It's not really that long. The interactions with her and the demons and all that,
yeah,
it's not that major of
yeah,
the movie. It's everything else going on. But
yeah,
when we're kids, that's all we care about. So,
yeah,
we make it to be this grandiose thing in our mind. But it,
yeah,
it really is, as far as just like a movie, it is cinematic masterpiece. But
yeah.
yeah, I still can't get past the makeup. My friend is doing
Mm,
this thing, the Rad Pack, shout out.
mm.
They're doing this thing called the 9 movies that scared us. And I
Oh,
said, I
okay.
got to throw the Exorcist in there because to this day, I'm at a con or something, and I turn the
Mhm.
corner and there's a life-size Reagan. I'm, I'm not
Uh-huh.
scared, but it's just like that quick reaction. And the makeup, man, when I was a kid, that makeup, mm, everybody's like, oh, her head turning around and the spider crawl and the green pea soup. I was like, nah, none of that
Mm.
bothered me. It was just
Not
the
yeah,
way her face looked. Ugh.
that and her she didn't bother me. It was her voice. when she was talking to the priest and how calm she was, like she knew something that nobody else knew. Like she was talking like like it's already a wrap, so you can come
you
in here.
saying that I'm getting like chills in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's just sitting there like they come in there and they got they got their crucifixes and their holy water and they're coming in and they're ready for battle. And she's sitting there like, yeah, y'all already lost. So yeah, bring whatever you're gonna do. We're just gonna get through this, and in the end, it's y'all already lost. So let's go. Yeah, and I'm like, why is she so calm?
She confident.
Stop. He's scared. I mean, you got a priest confident. With the priest got God on his side. You're supposed to be, you're supposed to be quaking in your boots, and she was sitting there like, nah. Bring it. Good. Let's go. It's gonna be fun. I'm like, oh no. And now when I watch it today, you're right. It doesn't hit the same. But anytime I hear that voice, I get that kid feeling. I get that. Oof, yeah. Ooh, I remember this. But everything else, now I was a film major, so when I'm looking at a movie now, all I see is all the things that make the movie. So I'm looking at the actors, the way they frame a shot and things like that. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. But in that movie, when you hear her talk and that voice comes out and how just nonchalant she is, I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah. The
only watch that. I watch that every couple years. I can't repeatedly go through that. So
but you got some coming up. I'm sure you watch a little more often than that. So let's go ahead and hop into the second question here.
Okay.
So for number 2, and this is probably where we'll spend the majority of our time here, is just discussing this. So go ahead and name some of your favorite spooky or creepy movies. You gave me a good lineup, so definitely want to talk about these.
Yeah. I gave you my my hot 5.
Yeah. So
there's a couple.
Let's start with the first one.
Yeah. So the first one, I'm gonna say Hereditary.
Yeah.
From 2018. Ari Aster directed this. A lot of people like Midsommar better. I did not care for Midsommar. Didn't hit me, and Hereditary was one of those movies that started out as something else, and then they snuck up behind you with the supernatural stuff. So basically, Hereditary pretty much was about grief of losing a family member and how the family was coping. And all the while, on the peripheral, were these little things of demon worshiping and things just creeping into it until it all came at the end. So like you watch Toni Collette's, I don't know how she got snubbed for Oscars, but her whole
everybody says
that movie was incredible, man.
Everybody says that.
How did she get snubbed for that? Because I mean, just that one scene when she was at the table and she was having that conversation with her son, who really wasn't dealing with what happened with his sister, and then she just blew up at him. And it was just incredible. And I'm like, whoa, this movie is great. And then the supernatural stuff started creeping in. I'm like, oh, I forgot we were watching this movie. Yeah, the last 30 minutes was incredible.
Yeah. It's funny because I went to see it, and of course I know it's a horror movie, but like you said, you're kind of diverted like the first 35, 40 minutes because it's amazing how, and I mentioned this the other day, like in the 50s, 60s, science fiction movies were used to convey like deeper level stuff like social commentary and all that.
Yeah.
And I would say for the last 15, 20 years, the use of horror and the various subgenres, whether it's supernatural, possession, whatever, has been taking the place of that. And, whether it's like looking at the human condition, or in this case, like you mentioned, how family deals with grief. And it's crazy because you watch it subsequent times and you pick up on those little pieces, like you're saying, of the supernatural throughout the movie.
Yeah.
You don't catch it the first time.
No.
You don't catch it at all. But, I'm a physical media collector, and I could tell you, I do not own that movie. And I said this to my friends a few weeks ago, and I'm keeping it real here. I don't need that kind of juju in my house. I do not need that kind of juju in my house, because that movie, like we were just talking about The Exorcist, that's the other one. I don't own The Exorcist because my wife says, don't bring that movie in my house. When she says my house,
Yeah,
that's like somebody calling you by your full government name.
Yeah.
She's serious.
No discussion. No
Mm-mm.
discussion. It's
Period.
done.
And the
Mm.
story.
Yeah.
So I don't own The Exorcist. I could watch it.
Yeah.
I don't own Hereditary.
that
That's it.
that one scene in I think the movie is great. The one scene that really got me was they had the scene where the son was in bed and they were showing that he was trying to deal with whatever was going on and the camera slowly was pulling back
The
and you're like, oh,
corner.
they're hanging long. Yeah, they're hanging so long on this, and you don't notice because it's so dark because your eyes need to get adjusted. Then in the upper left-hand corner,
Mm-hmm.
you see somebody hanging on the wall
Mm-hmm.
and the roof, and I nearly lost my mind because I was like, wait, what is that? And it just hung there.
Like you're
I
saying,
was like,
you don't like jump scares. I don't like jump
yeah,
scares either. As much as that's what I have a lot of problems with modern horror movies because they
yeah,
rely on it. It's
yeah, a
not like
lot.
it's there to be used. They rely on it. But to me, that was like a smart way of doing
Yeah,
it. So it's not like I'm just gonna jump to jump. It's like you're gonna see it. You're gonna discover it.
yeah,
I'm not gonna play any haunting music and
yeah.
and none of that. No,
No, it was
I'm a
quiet,
I'm a
too
wait.
quiet.
I'm
Yeah,
a wait, and you're gonna see
yeah.
it. It's kind of like what that scene reminded me of 78 Halloween, and they're coming up and they're going around this coming up the stairs and going around the corridor,
Uh-huh.
and then Michael's waiting in the background, and depending on where you saw it, that shadow is a different amount of darkness, but he's just standing in that shadow. And then when you see his mask, that's like the
Yeah.
first thing you see, the whiteness of his mask. He's waiting there in the shadows. He don't jump out. They
Yeah,
wait
he's just
till you
there.
see it. And they did the same thing with that scene in Hereditary. Yeah, that movie,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. So that's always on my list. Always on my list.
So you go back to it pretty often?
Not as much. It's one of those movies that I protect. I like
Mm,
to. It's one of those that I'll watch, but then I may wait like 6 months to 8 months to a year to watch again because I want to come. I want to come back to it as fresh as possible.
hmm. I
The
like
last
that.
time,
I
yeah,
like that use
but
of that word, protect.
yeah, because like you said, there's a lot of stuff that when you watch it again, it's a lot of stuff you miss. So
Mhm.
every time I go back to it, it's always something else, a little something they put in a scene, and you go, "Oh, that's right. That actually makes sense because later down the line, this happens." And it's like, okay, but that's something. Yeah, that's something I need to protect my whole thing about that movie. So I just try to space it out.
I like that. So, quick question for you. Are you that person, like, if you've seen a movie before and you're with someone, like, let's say your wife, shout out to you. You're an
Mhm.
amazing woman. I gotta say that. And you're like, "Yo, this is a good part," or like, check this out coming up." You stay
No,
quiet.
I stay quiet because I got this weird thing on YouTube. I watch a lot of reaction videos of a
Mhm.
lot of a lot of content that I like. I like to watch other people watching it because I want to see the expression they get when they get to the certain areas that really interest me. So if I'm watching like on a TV show, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one of my favorite shows of all time. It's just
Yes.
because, and I like to watch these like younger people actually discover the show and watch it, so I can see these significant moments and how they deal with it. It's just something about seeing people discover that thing for the first time.
Mhm.
So if I go with somebody like back to a movie to watch it, I want to see their reaction. So I won't cue them up for
Mhm.
anything. I want to sit there and I want to look over and see how they're dealing with certain when
Yeah.
those moments happen in the movie. So I stay
Yeah.
quiet.
Good
Yeah.
start. Good start. What else you got for us?
Let's go with The Witch, 2015. I know you got it. I know you got it.
One of my
Yeah,
favorites right
boy.
here, man.
Yep.
One of my
Yep. That's it.
favorites.
Yep. Robert
So,
Eggers, man.
talk about this movie. Give a synopsis of this movie.
Yeah. So this it's the 1600s, and there's a farmer with his wife, his daughter, and their newly born son, and they're out there, when it's rough. They're trying to make a living. And again, this is all about the environment and just how spooky everything is. It's nothing creepy or anything. It's just being out there. It's a little foggy. It's drab, and they're trying to make a life out there. Really religious people, and the daughter is playing with their young son. He's like a baby, and he's like in, he's in the basket, and she's playing peekaboo with him, and she's like, there he is. Where is he? There he is. And one time she does it, and then the baby's just gone. He's just gone, just disappeared like that. And the whole movie is them trying to figure out what happened to the kid and deal with the loss, and how all of the blame is moving toward the daughter, and how
Mm-hmm.
this father is just, he just knows that the daughter did something to this kid, to their kid, and the kid and the daughter's just trying to figure out what happened so she can find her brother and clear her name. And the more you go into it, is the more you start to see signs that there's something evil that's happening, but it's
Yeah.
always on the peripheral. There's always like signs like the black goat. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a black goat, but is it really just a black goat? And then there's stuff that's happening in the woods, and I'm not too happy with the way it wrapped up.
Yeah.
The whole build up to it. I mean, it was, the whole build up, and just the way elements upon elements started to stack in, and when you were coming to that conclusion, and it was just a great watch. I think it was one of those movies where it felt like it was only like 30 minutes long,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like so glued.
You
I'm like, oh,
wanted
what's
more
gonna
too.
happen? Yeah, and then it was just over, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
it. But
Just an amazing movie. Amazing
what
movie.
what after watching it a few times, I realized how Eggers actually played with space. So like there were real outside, there were real like nice wide shots
Mm-hmm.
of their house and their land, but they were actually enclosed by woods. So all around them, they were just wood, like somebody had cut out a circular area for them to put the house and their little area, but they were trapped by woods. And then also, so that gave you a sense of being trapped in a bigger space. But then also, he really did a good job of when he filmed in the barn or filmed in the house, the claustrophobia of how close everybody was. So
Yeah.
when she was being blamed by her father or being chastised by her father in house, they were so close. It was very, very uncomfortable.
Yep. And the
And
choice of camera lenses, the
yeah,
space between the characters standing.
yeah.
It, you know what? I'm gonna keep making movie references. I
Mhm.
don't like this movie to this day. I still don't like this movie. But if you ever seen Birdman, it
I
starts off
love
and
Birdman.
everything. I don't know what it is. I
I
just can't get
love
with it.
that movie.
But in the
Love that movie.
beginning, everything is normal space, normal width.
Mhm.
By the end of the movie, everything is so enclosed. It looks like people
Yeah.
can't even move in the hallway
Mhm.
until we
Yeah.
get outside, and
Yeah.
then everything is open. So I get that. I get the beauty of that, but that movie for
Mhm.
some reason it just don't rub me the right way, man.
I
I don't know
I
what it
love it
is.
because I don't understand it. I didn't understand it, and I couldn't put my mind into a lane to say, "Oh, it's this," because
Yeah.
there was so many different elements in that movie, and I was watching it. I'm like, the camera work was incredible, the
Mhm.
acting was incredible, but I don't know what this is, and I love it.
And you're okay with that. You're okay with not
Yeah.
knowing.
That being said, I've only seen it once.
Huh,
I have no need to see it again,
okay.
but I own it.
But that one
Just
time
in
it hit
case.
you hard and you're good.
I was like, I really enjoyed it. I don't know what I just saw, but
Mhm.
the acting and the camera work, everything was great. But I don't need to explore it. It's just good.
I will say one last thing about The Witch, especially on this version. The use of desaturation throughout
Mhm,
the film, except
mhm,
like I showed this scene here where she's moving around. The
mhm.
If you look in the background, that is like the color of the film. It's desaturated.
Yeah.
But then when there's anything like fire, hue, anything like that,
Mhm.
it just brings it to the, of course, in this case, a golden tone, but it brings it up to the true color that the movie is expected to be in. But
Yeah.
that desaturation just gives you this cold and empty and lonely
Yeah, man.
feeling. and you just
Those
feel that through the whole movie.
mine that is exactly why those wide shots creep me out. It's
Yeah.
just super drab, which is drab, and you saw like the mist settling, and then the woods in the back, and it's like, oh man, there's no way in hell I'd be
Oh
caught out
no,
there, man.
I
You
wouldn't be
know.
living out there. But it's a great movie, man.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that physical release afterwards.
yeah. All right,
I'll put
sounds
you
good.
on. What else you got for us?
What else we go? Let's go with The Fog. 1980, not the crappy 2005 remake, the
No.
actual John Carpenter release. Um, Another one all about atmosphere, creepiness, unsettling. So basically, um, The Fog takes place in I think it's called Crescent City. It's
Yeah.
basically Catalina, off the Catalina Island, off of the coast of California, and it's
Hmm.
basically, yeah, this small town, and there is a fog that's creeping in from the sea.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw this in the movies. Another one that where I shouldn't have gone to see it, but I saw this in the movies. But and it was good. It was Adrian Barbeau and Jamie Lee Curtis, who I had the biggest crush on Adrian Barbeau back then.
You weren't
And
alone, man.
yeah,
Swamp Thing.
yeah. So that was like hello. So yeah, so the cool thing about that movie is the claustrophobia, because since it was an island, the fog was like basically it's kind of like Call of Duty session, where your area is shrinking and shrinking. So in this movie, the fog is slowly shrinking around this island, and the fog is coming in, and you have these packs of people from the island who are just trying to find a way out of this, and they're all being herded back to this one point in center, and of course being
Yeah.
knocked off one by one by, and just the way people died in that movie were just it just freaked me out so much. And you never the scariest thing was seeing the fog engulf people, and the sound.
Yeah.
The sound design in this
That's what
was
I was
just
gonna say.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On movies like that where there's mysterious elements and it's a slow burn,
Hmm.
you're kind of looking for different things that will kind of give you that creepy factor. And in this movie,
Hmm.
like you're saying, it's a visual of the fog and how it's kind of closing in. And,
Hmm.
even during the daytime, which,
Yeah.
we've talked about in most movies, the trope is that you're safe in the daytime. You ain't safe.
Hmm.
You ain't
No.
safe. It's moving
No.
it
Yeah.
and it's lingering. So
Yep.
something like that. And then on top of it, the sound. Yeah, that definitely
Oof.
sets the creep factor.
And
I
that
watched
John
it.
Carpenter soundtrack. Oof.
Well, Carpenter, that period of Carpenter and music just goes so well together. I would
Yeah.
say up until In the Mouth of Madness, when
Oh yeah.
he tried to get on his Metallica, and
Mm-mm.
but everything before that, simple chords.
Hmm.
Once again, Halloween is a good example of that. The Fog is a good example of that.
Escape from New York.
Yeah,
Oof.
with the synths, yeah,
Yeah.
but it sets the mood. It
Yep.
always
Exactly.
happens to set the mood. You want creepy? We'll give you some haunting keys, minor notes here and there. Um, you want something that's just going to sound almost borderline superhero? We got a synthesizer for you. That's right. I forgot to mention this man's also a musician too. So there's that.
do a little bit here and there.
Yeah, just a tad,
Just a smidgen.
just some remixes. That's all. So
I might
yeah,
need to watch that today.
it's a good one. It's a
Yeah, I
good
need to
one.
watch that again.
But
Yeah,
there's
that was
still
awesome.
the spooky elements there. It's super creepy.
Mhm,
Not your traditional horror movie.
mhm.
And the only movie that gave me a similar vibe came along a little bit later, with which once again that just got a 4K this week, for a matter of fact, was The Mist, the Stephen King story.
Ah, love that movie. Love that
That
movie.
we're not going to get into it because I'm
Yeah.
sure by the end of this month somebody's going to want to talk about The Mist. So
Uh-huh.
we're not going to talk about it here, but that movie, man.
That should have been on my list. Ah, I forgot it. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'll take the
Yeah.
loss on that one.
but this is a good comparison. This is
Mhm.
I would say I'm always looking for that double feature. What would go good with this movie? So a little bit
Yeah.
of fog, a little bit of mist.
Yeah.
That would be a good double feature right there. The fog and the mist. Because one is a
Oh,
lot more depressing than the other, I'll
yeah.
say.
Depressing is a good word for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What's next?
Let's see. Let's go with Salem's Lot,
Ooh.
the original miniseries, not the remake.
Okay.
David So plays a famous writer who comes back to Salem's Lot to write a story about the Barlow House, which is like a mansion that, of course, sits up on a hill. And
Of
as there's a
course.
lot of people have a lot of spooky tales about this house, ghosts and everything about supernatural stuff. And of course, at the same time, we get a very strange curator of antiquities that comes to town, as they normally do in Stephen King movies, and he brings along Mr. Barlow, who is his what did he say was his, not his boss, but it was his, I forgot what he said he was, but he brings Mr. Barlow along, who was actually a vampire, and there we go, Mr. Barlow, which still creeps me out. The Nosferatu look still just
It's
kills
the
me. I know it
close
looks
up,
stupid. It
the
may
teeth.
look stupid to people, for the younger people today, because it's got that old timey look. But man, the way they used him in that show was crazy,
Yep.
and it was great. It was great. It was in Stephen King fashion because he used a lot of time for setup. It was a ton
Mm-hmm.
of time for setup. It wasn't like we started with the vampire stuff. The vampire stuff slowly crept in over time. So it was like, we mostly dealt with David Soul's character and how he's dealing with coming back, and how the town feels about him, because some of the stuff he wrote about the town, they weren't really, accepting.
Stephen King
So
writes what he knows.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that last hour, and then it just ramps up the last hour when we get into the vampire stuff, and it was just,
Mm.
to me, it was just so good, because I was more captivated about the drama,
Mm-hmm.
and then the vampire stuff kicked in,
Yeah.
and that just amped it up 10 times. But the one thing I still can't watch is that damn kid floating in the window and coming to see his friend and telling
Mm-mm.
him to open the window because he commands it. That still creeps me the hell out to no end at this age. I'm at 54 and I still can't watch that with getting super creeped out.
It's I was 9. It was on 2 nights, and
Yep.
I remember, our parents used to let us watch anything if it was on network TV because that was safe.
Yeah.
And I'm there, and same thing, Starsky and Hutch. I had my David Soul 45 because he put out a few hits.
That's right. I totally
Yep.
forgot about that.
Don't give up on us, baby.
Oh man, I might need to go check that out. I gotta go look it up.
And I'm watching this
Um,
movie, and as a kid, all that dramatic stuff, it's like putting a slow lull in you,
yeah.
and all of a sudden you
Yes.
see Kurt
Yes.
Barlow.
Yes.
Man, why didn't y'all tell me there was vampires in it? And the thing is, you were scared, but you were intrigued,
Yeah, that was
and you
it.
wanted to come back and watch that second night. And who told you to do that? Because that second night, like he said, hour and a half each night, that last hour.
Whew,
But here's the
that
thing, though. How
mhm.
long was Barlow? I'll put the image up again. How long was he actually in those 3 hours?
He was in one, two, he was in like four scenes. I think three or four scenes. It was yeah, he did the kitchen scene. Are we counting here just his hand? Did we count those scenes?
I'm trying to say, not even 10 minutes in this movie,
No, no, 5, 6 minutes most.
but it
And
was
that
enough to
that was
scare the
scary.
crap out of us.
That kitchen scene when he bust through the window and then he just started to rise up. Oh man. Oh dude, that
Mm-mm.
was like, and that oh dude, and he was just unstoppable.
Now, here's the thing. When you're talking to Stephen King, short story, book going into a movie, how do you think the two compared looking back?
Like everybody else, the written page, the written story was a lot better. Again,
Mhm.
imagination.
Yeah,
Imagination always trumps everything.
yeah.
So
It takes
just,
you to places no visual can.
yeah. And to be honest, I count those as two separate stories.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I can't I don't see that miniseries as a representation of the book of the story. They just seem like two totally different stories to me.
Kind of like The Shining.
Because because the visuals I had from the story don't match with what was in the miniseries. So I say,
Gotcha.
okay, yeah, those are two separate things.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But when I saw you put that on the list, I was like, oh man, he trying to take me back.
Yeah,
I
that's the
put that
good
in my
stuff, man.
past. And my friend is like, "Oh, here, you should buy the Blu-ray." And I went to buy it, and I'm like, "I think I need to
Mm.
watch this again. I got them childhood memories, man. I don't need to go there again." And then I
Did they do?
started like looking for things and clips and all that, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"I don't need this. I They're all right there. I don't need additional. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to
Did
go
they
back."
did they do a new transfer of that? The copy I have isn't that great.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think.
so. It's a
Oh
Blu-ray,
man.
but I think it's just like a upgrade. I don't think they remastered it or anything.
I was
So
hoping they did a widescreen or something. I know that I have like a 4:3 copy.
yeah,
I was hoping
I
they
don't
do a
I don't think
widescreen.
it's. Well, I'll check it out. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
great thing. Great miniseries.
and what's your last one?
My last one, don't scoff at me. Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch Project.
I
Yes,
went
yes.
back. I pulled out the DVD. I said, I
Uh-huh.
don't need to stream this. I don't need to watch the Blu-ray. I want it to be gritty and ugly, just like
Yes,
that video was.
yes, yes. And a lot I have this discussion with a lot of people and the younger crowd who are used to found footage and are used to that kind of thing, and they don't understand the impact that movie had back in '99. Number one, there was no found footage genre. There was maybe been movies here and there, but this was like something that was totally new.
Yeah.
And two, the marketing campaign was incredible. It was groundbreaking. They had websites, they had documentation, like real documentation. Yes, they had like these these documents about when it happened, what had happened, and just they fleshed out the entire. It was the classic world building. They
Hmm.
built a world around this folklore, and even though you knew it was a movie, you still in the back of your mind was like, how real could this be? I mean, there's a website, and the website gives you all of this content and links to go find stuff, and everything you were able to find. So it was just like doing your research.
Yeah.
So
And we
that
were
was
doing
one
it.
thing.
We were
Yeah,
doing it. I think that's
yeah,
like probably when we first became friends and we pretty much lived on the internet. And the
yeah,
thing is, it was almost like 1960s news reporting. If it was on
yeah,
the internet, more than likely it was true.
yeah,
And you would go into these sites, and Burkittsville was a real place,
yeah,
and there were people living there. And we just thought for the most part, I mean, you always have your skeptics and all that. Like, "That ain't real, man. Come on."
yeah,
And the actors use their real names, so
yeah,
you could look it up. You could see pictures of when these people are younger,
yeah.
everything. So by the time we got to the movie, we didn't care if it was real or not.
No, we just want the experience. We was ready. We're ready to go.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was telling you before, I rewatched this just last night,
Mhm.
and I put it up on IG that I was watching it, and my friend Mark, he has a channel, Tales from the
Mhm.
Shelf, check it out. He said, "Oh, you should watch my commentary on it that I did a few days ago afterwards." I
Mhm.
was like, "That's what's up. I'll check it out." And he came up with the perfect subgenre name to describe this movie. He called it suggested horror.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's they made this movie for $60,000. there's no visual effects, no practical effects, no special effects. It's just a bunch of people in the woods telling a story, and everything creepy and scary about this movie is suggested.
Hmm.
So I'll tell you the scariest point in this movie, and I want to laugh when I say this. There's a scene when they're asleep in their tents, and they're woken by kids laughing. Now it's not creepy kids laugh. It's just basically somebody took like audio of kids playing on the playground.
Yeah.
But because it was in this element, it was the scariest thing I'd ever heard. And they're like, "Shh, do you hear that?" And in the background, you hear kids just playing.
Right.
And then it gets louder and louder. And then outside outside of the tent, somebody just starts playing around with the tent. And then they start screaming, break out, and they just start running into the woods. And I jumped out of my seat in the theater because that was just so creepy. Something about kids laughing in this horrible, horrible, evil place. You just knew those kids were up to something.
Well, it
So
wasn't
it
just that.
just,
It was like they're in the middle of a deserted forest.
yeah,
Ain't nobody around. They're, miles away from even like a road of
yeah,
civilization. And the whole thing about this witch is that it was taking children. So now you're
yeah,
hearing the voices of children and
yeah,
ain't nobody else around you? Not
yeah.
even a creek? Nah, nah.
Yeah.
But
So
once
that
again,
killed me.
it's your mind.
Yep,
It's where
exactly.
your mind takes you. Like, what is going on? They said there was a scene when they're running, just production notes, that the director had a sheet on, and you're supposed to see it on the right side, but they didn't really get in camera correctly. So you just see a
Mhm,
reflection, and it's so
mhm.
brief, you blink your eyes, you miss it. And that was supposed to be another level of scary element, but it was enough because,
Yeah,
back to my friend Mark and his subgenre name, it was suggested.
yeah,
It, that was a great name, my man. I got to give
yeah.
him
That's
credit for that
that's that's
because it was
perfect.
all what you think
Perfect
was
description.
happening,
Yeah, yeah.
but
And
that
I hate
marketing.
yeah. I hate the fact that they tried to make it a franchise because the movies that followed just were
Mhm.
horrible. And just I
Mhm.
think it just ruined the whole vibe of it. It should just been a self-contained one thing, let it go.
Yeah,
But and now when I watch it, it just doesn't hit the same. It's just
yeah,
I just love the fact that I actually went and saw it in the movies when it came out, and it was like opening weekend, so I didn't have any. There was no reviews or anything about it. I saw
no
it cold.
spoilers.
Yeah, except for looking online at the website and seeing the articles and stuff they had, but going in cold, the experience was perfect. And I think they've been trying to chase that with found footage movies ever since, but I don't think they're ever going to get that level.
Are you a fan of
Yeah,
the popularity
as
of
you
it?
as you can see on my Plex, and I have a collection called Found Footage, and there's a ton of movies in there. So I'm still looking for that same feeling from the Blair Witch Project. I haven't been able to find it, but now they put like effects in it and everything, so now you see the ghost, and
Yeah.
it's just not the same. It's good. They got some good ones, but it's just not the same.
As a subgenre, I think the only thing I'd seen before, you go through that teenage stage where you try to find the scariest, goriest thing you could
Yeah,
find. That's how you get into things like Faces of Death and all that. But I think
yeah.
Cannibal Holocaust was the only quote unquote found footage film I saw before Blair Witch. There
I
were
don't. I,
others, but I think that was the only one I'd seen.
I don't think I don't think I don't think I could the fact that it had cannibal in the name. I
Hmm.
don't think I could watch it. I don't think I saw it. I think I passed on it. I
Hmm.
might own it now, but I don't think I've ever watched it because just cannibalism. That's just one of those things. There's a couple of good movies that involve like cannibals. I can't. I
Yeah.
just can't bring myself to watch it. It's just too
But yet
much.
and still your favorite genre is zombies.
Yeah, that doesn't count as cannibalism because they aren't human anymore. So it's just another monster. That's how I rationalize it. Alive people eating other people, that's just too much for me. Dead people, that's fine. I can deal with that.
Quick
It's too
question.
much.
This is just an easy answer.
Mhm.
We were talking the other night. I'm in the beginning stage of 31 Conversations in 31 Days, and
Mhm.
on my friend Dell's channel, I was over there and we did a movie swap because
Mhm.
he had never seen the Zack Snyder remake of Dawn of the Dead, and
Oh,
I had
classic
never
movie.
seen, and don't hate me for this, but I had never seen Candyman. So we had to. I know,
The
everybody does
original?
the same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay. I've seen it now.
I'm
Both
refraining
versions.
myself. Okay.
Both versions. I'm good
Okay.
now. I've redeemed myself. I got off that narcotic. But we were talking Dawn of the Dead and going back and
Mhm.
forth, and someone said, Fulci original or Zack Snyder remake? Do you have a preference?
Again, I see them as two separate stories. I love the original because of the
Mhm.
social commentary and just the whole vibe of it. It's the
Mm,
first time I've seen. It was one of the first times, except for Day of the Living Dead, I've seen a black character in an important role who
yeah.
wasn't going to die early, which was
Yes. Or
another reason why I loved Night of the Living Dead
Night
also,
of the Living Dead, I was about to say.
because it was a black character. It was a strong character. It was a knowledgeable character that was helping to to make things happen. It wasn't
Yeah,
like a B player that was just scared or going to die off. So that was the original. The original really moved me. The remake, I just like the entire vibe of it. I mean, the
me
Zack
too.
Snyder vibe. And the running zombies. I haven't really been too big on running zombies,
But they
except for
did it right in
28
that
days.
movie. They did
They
it right.
did.
It wasn't
They
quite
did. But
World War Z yet, but they did it
yeah,
right there.
yeah. But I mean, I prefer I think the lumbering one. I think it's more scary when you get a ton of lumbering zombies that are slowly creeping in on you. You know you're going to get ate. You
Yeah,
know,
like that
versus
fog.
versus ones running up to you real quick and attacking you.
Yeah.
I think the slower ones are a lot more scary. But I like the if I have to pick one, I'd have to say the original.
Okay, purist. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I said it's not really a remake, it's a remix, which I'm sure you could
Perfect.
appreciate it.
Perfect. Yes, yes. I appreciate that terminology.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's bang out these other questions so I could get you out of here, man.
All right.
All
All right.
right.
All right.
Number 3, name a horror movie that everybody loves, but you can't stand.
Ooh, that's a hard one. Maybe the first Friday the 13th.
Oh,
I did not like that movie. I
yeah.
don't really
People
like
hold
I
that
don't
with such regard.
yeah, I did. I mean, I think out of the franchise is probably the best one. Um, but I think that was the first one where they were actually trying to seriously, before they started to get goofy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like the goofy stuff because it's like, yeah, well, it's Jason and it's goofy. But that first one, I watched it and actually, I was never a big fan of we're at camp and we're going to get all killed. Things like Sleepaway Camp or the other ones.
Yeah.
I'd never really been my thing. But everybody around me loves the original Friday 13th. And
Hmm.
I just don't care for it.
I'm looking forward to this answer. Name a horror movie that needs more love. Not enough people know about it, or not enough people
Oh,
talk about it.
okay. Let's say, did you ever see Wormwood zombie movie? Wormwood.
No.
So there's it, and they made a sequel. It was like an Australian low budget zombie flick, and it's batshit crazy.
Huh.
But it's so good. I got it on Plex. I got both of them on Plex. You should check it out. And it's just basically it's basically this mechanic who's trying to find his family and his friends during the zombie apocalypse, and these weird zombies are running around because I think some kind of drug went wrong, and now cars run on zombie blood. So they need to catch zombies and drain zombies, and I think I think that was brought into the second one. The first one was just classic zombie stuff, but the
Yeah.
second one went crazy. But I enjoy those movies so much
Huh.
because they're just so out there. It's cars and zombies, and I think somebody has special powers or something. It's just batshit crazy. But I
Huh.
love it.
I gotta
I
check
love
that
it.
out.
Yeah, and nobody knows about these movies. I think the first one was like a was was one of those where they were was a crowd funded type movie,
Hmm.
and then they got a little bit of success, so they made a sequel. But yeah, yeah, you should check those out.
I like discovering international films like that
Mhm.
because then you could put somebody on, and then next thing you know, some label is putting out a boutique label version of it, and everybody's picking it up for $40, $50, thinking they've been put on, but you already know
Mhm.
about it. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'll check that
Oh,
out.
can I do another one?
Yeah, man, of course.
I don't know if did you ever see Girl with All the Gifts?
I heard about that.
That was pretty good. I read the book and I loved the book is one of my favorite books of all time.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a great casting, great story. Basically, a plant it's kind of like The Last of Us. A plant, this plant turns people into zombies, or some kind. The pollen turns people into zombies. Turned kids into zombies,
Oh,
and so there's this one kid who seems to be not immune, but she needs to be like a variant where
kind of
for
like a daywalker.
yeah, kind of. And they want to use her for experiments. And of course, zombies break into the camp and they have to go on the run.
Hmm.
And it's just wackiness ensues. It's just pretty good.
Those
I don't think anybody saw it in the theater, but
Yeah,
um
I heard
I
about that though. I might
yeah,
have even seen the trailer for it. I don't know. I come across a lot of trailers,
yeah.
all these marketing companies sending you stuff and want you to review this and promote
Mhm,
this. And I'm like,
yeah.
this sounds
But check it
great.
out. Check it out. It's
Oh,
pretty good. It's a pretty good movie.
okay. I hope everyone realizes I've been watching like horror and spooky and creepy movies since August in preparation for this, plus COVID on top of that. I'm gonna need like a 2, 3 month break from horror movies after this month is done. Like I
Yeah.
got movies that just keep rolling in from pre-orders. I need like some romantic comedies in my life after this
Yeah, you
month.
need a palate cleanser.
Hell yeah. I need some 80s and 90s comedy.
There
I
you
need to
go.
crack open some plastic on some of these movies. I got some movies here, and I got to go from Maniac and Zombie and Alligator to like I don't know, Ghost in the
Alligator.
Shell and Groundhog's Day or something. Oh man. But I hope you had fun doing this. I got one more question for you before we finish
For
up.
sure, man. This is awesome.
Good. I'm glad you think so because
Mhm.
the last question we have here is who would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
Oh, that's good. That'd be real good. Um,
Some other
hmm.
movie lover out there. Who are you thinking of when I ask that question?
Oh man, the two people I would pick have passed, so
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult. Um, man, I don't know. I had three people that were my movie lovers. You're one, and the other two are gone. So,
Yeah.
um,
Of course, the majority of people watching this don't know who we're talking
yeah,
about. We're talking about our mutual friends. Wow. It's October. I just realized that.
yeah,
And they both
yeah,
passed during this month in the last 2 years.
yeah,
Amr
yeah.
and Fave passed away 2 years ago this October. And
Mhm,
then almost a year to the week, our
mhm,
friend EJ passed away.
yeah,
So we have a collective of friends that are into music and movies, and those two brothers were just like that was like our Tony Stark and
yeah,
Steve Rogers, man. So
yeah.
we weren't planning to go here, but the two of us doing this, it was almost kind of like a given that they'd either be here in
Mhm.
spirit or we'd end up
Yeah,
talking about it. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah, we could just keep it right there. We don't even have to get any other answers. But man, this was fun. This was
Dude,
fun.
this yeah. I was a little nervous at first, but this has been
Yeah,
great, man. Just been cool
we just
talking
do.
with you, man.
Yeah, that's how we do, man. And the whole thing is when I thought about doing this project, first I was gonna do like 13 guests. I did it last year. I don't even remember how many people I had on, but I said I'm gonna just get like 13 new people or 10 new people. I had one returning guest, and
Hmm.
that's my friend Mel, My Killer Podcast.
Hmm.
And she came back and we just did one on Final Girls. And
Oh, nice.
I said, "Oh, I'm gonna do it again this year." And I was like, "How could I make it special?" So then I was gonna be like, "All right, let's just pick one movie. I might do this next year. Let's just pick one
Mhm.
movie. The guest picks one movie, and we just spend the whole time talking about it." But people
Mm.
do that all year long. And then I was like, "How many people can I get?" And then names started popping up. You were one of the
Mhm.
first people. When did I reach out to you? Like May,
Yeah, that's
talking about
right.
this.
Yeah.
People started popping up in my head, and I was like, "That's a lot of people. That's like a month worth. You should do 31 conversations in 31
That's
days."
dope.
And I said it to my wife, who like expecting to say, "You crazy?" She's like, "I think you can do it." I was like, "Well, that's all the inspiration I need right
That's
there."
all you
So
need right there.
I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't know what the end of the month is gonna look like, how many people are gonna cancel on me. But I have backups, I have people willing to jump in,
Mhm.
and I have something special that hopefully the community could help me out with. So
Mhm.
it's been fun so far, but we're just getting started. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thank you. I wanted to make sure you were on the first week. I want to thank you for joining me, for doing this. I knew you'd be fine, man. We're
Yeah.
talking your vibe, man. We're talking
That's
about the
right.
spooky, creepy, the horror movies.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, man.
So
Thanks for having me, man. This has been terrific.
yeah, man, I'm glad you can. So like I always say, thank you for joining us.
Mhm.
And as always, go watch a movie. Have a good night, everyone.